Think about all of the events and the things that you have going on. I know for the right place, this week is just wholly overwhelming in all of the different things. So they also provide an app that helps a company track and share those events and those happenings. So with that, definitely looking forward to it.
Really appreciate it. So like Jen mentioned, both on the mobile app, we're working with ArtPrize to bring the activities going on around the city into that application and make it easier for everyone to find out what's going on in their local area. And then what we'll be focusing on today is more on that small business artist side of things, of how do I get my message out to all these different spaces, whether that be my local city, my socials, other places, and still focus on the things that bring my business revenue. So I need to get foot traffic in. How do I do that with these emerging different segments, locations, and socials that you need to be keeping track of across the board? So with that, Gen AI, we'll jump into it. To start off, I'm Devon Bleibtrey, CEO of Flockx. I really appreciate everyone being here today. Appreciate my team coming out. Fantastic to have them here. I've been busting ass the last couple weeks and for months and months prior to that for the actual product pieces. So phenomenal job. Appreciate all the friends that come out as well as all the participants. Really appreciate Right Place putting on Tech Week, City of Grand Rapids, as well as ArtPrize going on. So a ton of things going on right now. Really appreciate y'all being out here and including us within Tech Week. So Devon Bleibtrey, also have Humayun Sheikh, my partner, founder of Flockx, as well as multiple other companies, including Fetch AI. And he's here this week, as well as will be back. So if anyone has any questions on more of the further R&D pieces, whether that be in biotech or in autonomous agents, great person to go chat with. I'm happy to also discuss, but I'll probably pull him in to get into more weeds. So what problems are we facing today, and why is it important that AI and generative AI is coming to the market and helping out us work through these challenges? So the first one is there's more noise than ever. We have everything from small businesses of the different data that you're trying to process, whether that be market assessments, the foot traffic that you have coming in, how many burritos are you selling, how many different things are you doing, how do you go and process all of that while focusing on your trade? As well as if you get into other industries like biotech, we have DNA, RNA, personalized medicine that's coming in. How do you process all of this data and actually create something useful from it? Having individuals go and process it is very time-consuming, difficult, so needing to have something that can help us break through this noise and process it and then do something actionable. Adding to that, we also have growing amount of segmentation and different spaces where people aggregate. So that is both on the digital side as well as on the physical side. When we talk about the digital sort of space, you have TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, X, etc. As a small business, as an artist, as a startup, you're trying to reach customers on all these different platforms, figure out what the trends are, understand what has an impact, what drives in traffic, what doesn't. And doing that can be basically a full-time job that many of us don't have time to do or the budget to go and pay for. So you're dealing with all of those people or all of those places as well as the physical places. When we look at the emerging trends within millennials moving more, digital nomads coming to bear, remote work allowing people to travel from place to place and come into new cities, as well as the historical trends of businesses going to conferences, other places, you have new people breathing into the local economy that you need to be identifying so that you can bring them into your storefront, as well as if you're an artist, identifying them and potentially converting them into an active user, someone that listens to your music, someone that looks at your art, someone that goes and purchases it off of one of the gallery show places. So there's a ton of different places that you're trying to keep track of, those segments, and figure out how do I target them, how do I deliver a personalized message on those platforms, how do I get it that the trends on TikTok, I'm keeping up to date with those, putting the right music recording, putting the right videos, and then I'm jumping over to Instagram and making sure I have the right messaging on there for the different age groups and other pieces. Trying to wade through that, even with a team, is very difficult. So it continues to expand on how much time and effort we put into it, or we get atrophy and we jump out of it and we stop contributing to different social media. So lots of different challenges on that side. We also need specialized knowledge to go and facilitate that. So not only does it take that marketing expert to understand what are those trends, but also the engineering to go and figure out how do I get my data or my message out to these different places. You need to have sales and other pieces bringing in the insights from the front lines and understanding how do I market my different products and make myself different within a ever-growing space of new startups, small businesses, artists, and others. So when it takes that team, again, budgets are tight. It's difficult to go and hire these out, especially when you are an emerging artist, a small business that just started up your restaurant, and you're trying to get a foot in the door with the local community and build that out. So that all then leads to being less connected. As we go on to different social sites on different cities, different locations, we tend not to have the communities that we used to have, where you have that tight-knit group that you can connect into and find out other people that like the things that you do. You also spend more time on those socials in these different spaces trying to process through all the data. That gives you less time to go hang out, makes it more difficult to find out what's going on, makes it more difficult to find out what's going on that you care about. So how do you get through all of these different pieces and understand how to process all of it? So generative AI is here to help, as well as other AI technologies. We're going to focus on the generative side today, and I'm going to try and keep it pretty high level. We'll go into the weeds a little bit, but if anyone wants to dig into the different algorithms and other ways outside of just the sort of generative on text and image, happy to do that outside of the talk. So the generative AI does allow us to start processing all of this data more effectively. So 100x improvement of you go look at Google and do a query, you're getting tens of thousands of results, many pages to work through. What is the credible information? What is the not credible information? And trying to digest all of that on an ongoing basis, day in and day out, takes huge amounts of time. We talk about this in the political sphere. We talk about it in the small business sphere on trying to keep up with trends and other things that are coming out. How do I digest all of that? So things like ChatGPT allow you to actually summarize all of that information and be creative with it. So not just give you a printout of bullet points, but actually customize it to who you are as a target audience. And that can be your own personal persona, as far as if I'm a HR director and I need to process what are the best things to do for a hiring process, what are the best practices. Instead of me having to go through and look at many different sites and books and other pieces, I can go to ChatGPT and ask it as an HR director, what would you say the best practices are? It'll give you that feedback. There are still limitations on that, but we'll get into it. Similarly, if you need to have image generation and some of these other things, you don't have to go out and pull together all of that your own. So improving the processing power of individuals. It also allows you to personalize to your different niches and segments. So just like you can personalize it to yourself, you can personalize it to others. If you're going after people that love live music, if you're going after people that like art, if you're going after people that like beer, you're able to take those pieces and incorporate it into your prompts to automate that output and have it customized to your personal target. This then helps you as a small business that instead of you having to constantly come up with the new slogan for the new email or the new post onto Twitter, you can just hand that off to the AI. It'll give you that feedback. With today's generative models, pretty good that you can sort of take that, put it in, make a couple tweaks, maybe have a couple different prompts back and forth to get it to where you want. But all in all, it's really helping you to optimize your processes and make you more effective. This then gives you that specialized tools from the knowledge that you used to have many team members to facilitate, such as a graphic designer, engineer, or other discipline. You now can go and use these tools to do it. So in software, we have GitHub Copilot. You're able to plug that into your development environment and have it help you actually code. This brings down that barrier for new entrants into the computer science realm to be able to get up to speed in new languages, new technology, new packages much more quickly, and process through things like how do I go and use natural learning process or language processing to facilitate different functionality. Now, instead of you having to go and do a ton of research on those, you can go use ChatGPT to ask it a couple questions to answer your specific pieces. And then you can go in and utilize Copilot to actually help you write the fundamental code. Similarly, for the graphic designer, able to go and use prompts to generate imagery for your different marketing outlets or for things that you have within the restaurant or within your small business, whether that be materials that you're handing out for human resources or the new menu that you have coming out and wanting to have specific images with it. This then gives you more time to spend with your communities, get out, do things, and have fun actually connecting in with the people that you care about, that care about the same things you do. So whether that be with the beer community, sports community, being able to actually plug into those rather than being disconnected and having to spend all of your time on all of these other building issues that take up more and more our time, more and more of our eyeball space, and suck us back into that digital area. So this creates new problems and leaves some old ones. One of the main one that you hear in the news right now is around the copyrights and trademarks. So with the generative AI models scraping the internet and bringing in the information of images, text, you have it, building those into their models and then utilizing that to generate actual imagery, it's very easy to go and say, create something with Mickey Mouse, and Disney does not like that for whatever reason. They really are trying to figure out how to protect for that, as well as where does it come in on the sort of open space, and how can we go and utilize these things to still get our brand across, get these other information and capabilities across, but doing it without infringing on other people's creative works and helping to facilitate moving forward as opposed to recreating some of the old images. And with Mickey and a campfire really goes against brand. These things can go out, so there are issues that can be hit with these new technologies that we have to work through. Also, data privacy and the protection of it. So one of the largest issues that we run into when we're talking to enterprises, small businesses, healthcare, and others that have proprietary data is, how does the AI use my info? This is a black box that I'm plugging into. Is this third party stealing my information? Are they going to come eat my lunch? What goes on in it? And when you actually go and look at the black boxes of AI, it can be difficult to understand exactly how it is using the data and what it's pushing out. So it can be tricky to facilitate this, and there's new developments around agent technology as well as federated learning that allow you to maintain the privacy of your data, train models remotely, and still get the insights from them, but not have to share your data out of your data systems. We start getting into other legacy problems around data and sort of back into the copyright and some of the other trademark and IP legal pieces on this of, I don't want to share my data regardless. So I'm a hospital, we have HIPAA, I need to be compliant. This isn't proven out enough, and now we need to get over those barriers. We need to get through that to make it so that these enterprises, small businesses can hook up into the models, not be concerned that their data is going to be shared out with their competitors and not going to be utilized to actually push them out of the market. So we continue to work through those challenges and hurdles, but I would say on this one, the technology really is there. It's just getting the actual different domains and industries to get behind it, adopt it, and that will be, an ongoing challenge over the coming years. Also, large enough data sets. So when we talk about small businesses, many of them don't have the information necessary to train these models effectively and generate insights particular to their subject domain. So with that, you start getting into situations where you need to use the AI. One, you can generate hallucinations and sort of mimic some of these pieces, but when I go back to that technology of sharing the data, using federated learning, other technology solutions to get that data, pool it, and create those insights for distributed networks of franchisees or other types of segmented data sets, it helps us to start bridging the gap on this, but still a lot of challenges within the actual data management and how we get those things together. So with all of that said, the technical complexity still is challenging. So to integrate it within specific use cases, whether that be you want to know how your marketing is doing out on a given social network, if it is taking that model and trying to train it about one of your niches, so talking about actual assessment of different mechanics. In automotive, we look at different performance for pre-diagnostic information. Wanting to go and use the existing data you have to train the model and figure out when is this component going to go bad? When are we going to have issues with these different pieces? Those can be very challenging. They take a team to put those things together. And even when you start bringing in the generative AI of how do I generate the tasks that need to be done for the situation that I've come into, and having that creativeness put into the analysis of the data set, that adds another layer of complexity. What model should I use? What one's the leading edge? Should I use stable diffusion? Should I use a proprietary solution? What should I go into with those different pieces and understand how that impacts both the output as well as what input I need to provide it and what kind of capabilities it'll have to help me scale in the future. This can really block out a lot of the smaller guys, whether that be a local artist, a musician, or a small business that just opened up that restaurant. Excuse me. So with the issue of blocking that out, that's something that we've really tried to focus on, lowering that barrier. So we'll get into that. But the pain points still remain. Even if I had the ability to go and generate these different models and facilitate it for my business, I still have the pain points in the local economy of either I need more foot traffic to my business, I need more talent to service the foot traffic I already have, or that I need more time and capital to do things such as marketing or drive the more foot traffic or find the talent, put out actual requests for people to apply, tailor that again to the target audience of someone looking for a new role, and get them to convert to come into my small business or to help me out with my project. So the new tools are still really missing the mark on delivering that simple solution. You can go piece them together and create some of these different elements of, I can go and take a ChatGPT to generate the menu. I can go and take Midjourney to generate the imagery for that menu. I can go and use other tools to start creating videos to solicit those new menu items. But I'm still having to go and type in the prompts and facilitate these things without, and then also take into consideration all the analytics that I have coming in specific to those things that I outputted. This then causes you that it, again, gives you a huge improvement on your own performance, but you're still finding yourself doing the manual process of building these pieces out and facilitating it. So how would I integrate generative AI into my business process? Today, this again, the generative AI piece is there. We have a pre-trained model. You can go and use that off the shelf. You can integrate that either through a manual integration, as I was discussing, of manually putting in the prompt and getting the export. That exists today. Can go on to ChatGPT and start with that technology and then work your way. That said, to actually go and personalize those prompts and create the most effective prompts can be just as challenging as implementing the technology sometimes, where figuring out what do you tell the system to get the output that you want. And a lot of times that'll take a couple different iterations, but you can usually get to that point. That requires you, though, to be going and doing assessments on your marketing analytics, the other different domain knowledge and trends going on with your business, who your customers are, what kind of brand do you have, what is the imagery of that brand, and what are you trying to communicate with your tone of voice and these other different elements that are critical to getting your message out. When you take all of those pieces and put them together, the end result is being able to go and generate the creatives for your socials, for your website, for these different areas, utilizing a couple different models that combine the elements that have your manual process, being able to automate that. So by pulling in the data from your different systems, mapping that into your prompts, into the generative AI, as well as potentially having your proprietary data sets, depending on what your domain of usage is, being able to create unique models for those that allow you to combine that information to generate the actual creatives or engineering information that you'd like to utilize to continue to improve your business and improve your bottom line. So how does it work? Great question. We talked about this prompt. So that's where it gets started off, whether you are looking to do this manually or programmatically. You are trying to tell that pre-trained generative model what it is you want. And you are trying to tell it in a similar way that you told a computer in legacy days what you wanted through a program and writing out code, but now it is human English. You can go type it in, it understands, it can give you feedback, it can ask questions. Sometimes it develops what seems to be a personality, scares people, but it's still just a machine today. So you can ask it things such as, go and create me a pig on the moon that has a cowboy rider, and create that new graphic for, let's say, your SpaceX marketing campaign. Doing so is the first step within the full algorithm for a solution called Stable Diffusion. This is an open source model that you can go and download today. You can go utilize it within your application. It's on Hugging Face to go and pull that. You also can go use it out of the box without having any programming experience on Stability AI. You can also go on to Fetch AI and utilize one of their agents that has it integrated into it to utilize your personalized data and have control of that, so you're not giving out information to other third parties. You can also go on to Discord and use Midjourney, which uses a semblance of Stable Diffusion. It's actually a proprietary model, so a little bit different, that you can't utilize that in your programming tools, but there are different options out there and new ones coming out each day. Stable Diffusion is an open source package, continuously developed to. There's a handful of primary contributors, very active project, and continuing to get better and better. I think we just had a new release of the latest model in the last month or two. So definitely go check that out. There's some links in the deck. We'll share that out. But the point being, at the very start of that process is the prompt. That then gives us our base, which is a latent image. This latent image represents the first stab that the AI takes at generating that image. Then it runs through and identifies what that initial noise of that latent image should be. And once we have that base, we then run it through a refiner. The refiner consistently processes over multiple times on that image, as you see in the short little GIF, taking what is a very noisy photo, that base latent photo, refining it, and creating the actual image that is the output. Once you have that new image, such as the pig here that we got from our prompt, you can go and utilize that depending on what the different terms and conditions are of the given Stability AI and some of the other DreamWorks studios where there's the proprietary pieces, the open source opportunities. But either way, in this example, again, Stable Diffusion is primarily focused on that image side. There's very similar processes on the text generation side, different model, different algorithms, but at the end of the day, when you come in and utilize it as a business, very similar. You're giving it a prompt, it's coming up with an idea of what it thinks you want to hear based on what went into that prompt. Outputs those things, you give it a refinement, and even with this image, you could go back in and say, hey, I don't want it to be on the moon, I want it to be on Mars, can go and shift that out for you. And as the AI gets integrated in different tools and products that we have, such as your Adobe suite, your Google suite, your Microsoft suite, you start to see the AI that are being utilized in these general generative tools being customized and tailored to the use case that you are running into. Grammarly is a great example of applying these generative pieces to actual text and improving your grammar throughout. So you can go and pick and choose the different items that go into it, and at the end of the day, that results in the full system feedback loop that we've sort of been building out throughout the presentation, which has that generative AI that's taking in the information from your business, improving the prompts, improving the feedback, iterating on the actual generative creatives that it outputs based on the information that your business is feeding in. This then allows you also not only to continue to improve on that, but to deliver to many different interfaces. So one of the key areas that we focus in on is digital out-of-home advertising. And digital out-of-home advertising, simplest one, is billboards. So billboards have a range of different sizes, shapes. You have something that's a 1200 by 700, a 700 by 900, a 1480 by whatever. You also have gas station pumps that have a much smaller screen that I need to go and create things for. I have digital displays up on bars that I want to push things out to. The difference on all those resolutions, who the target audience is, what time they're going up, needing to utilize that to generate these prompts to output the assets that normally would have taken you hours, days, weeks to go and iterate through, go back and forth with a design agency, you can now do in moments and have autonomously created for you for all those different display mediums and push it out, deployed to the areas where your community and your target audience is. That allows you to avoid needing to go and customize for all the different socials, all the different digital out of home, and push that customized, tailored image and text out to your target audience, wherever they might be, where they already are, and where they're already consuming data without you having to bring them into a specific spot such as your website. This allows you to hit them when they have an objective to go out, when they have an objective to go and buy something that you are providing, or when they have an objective to learn something new of what's going on in their community. Just a quick image. I won't go into details on this again if you want to talk about it after, but just at a quick snapshot, when we look at that full overview of Stable Diffusion, it's one of these pre-trained models that you already have your transformer trained. Again, we can go into more details on these as you build out custom models and other solutions, but at the top level, the different stages of your base, your latent image, your refiner, and the outputted image, and then iterating on those. So what are some of the limitations still challenging us today? Anything from the social biases that we've already seen in facial detection continue to come in artificial intelligence. So bad data in, bad data out, very biased data, or even data that doesn't seem biased but does have some outliers and other pieces can drive the AI to have poorer output. It can have it go and create things that you didn't want it to create. It can also take those things and look at hallucination that allows it to be creative, but can also put out lies and other elements that aren't great when it acts as though it is a definitive source. And when it's acting as a definitive source, it tries to create credibility for itself, and then the end user is going, I can trust this, it's giving me feedback, and now I am taking in, similar to the bubble that you can get into with existing news and search engines and these other areas that you go and find information, AI continues to be impacted by that. We also have limited data issues that you can run into, like I talked about on the healthcare side as well as on the siloed data elements. But that all said, the biggest struggle that we've run into in our developments and what we're working through on our side is how do you actually start merging these models together and have them work together to actually take it to that next level, where right now you can go generate imagery, but very difficult to get text into that imagery. So if you go and say, hey, I want to have an advert that has a pig on the moon, and I want it to say, we're going to the moon, free tacos tonight, whatever. The information of the text will be very, there'll probably be letters in the image, but they won't be together. They may be jarred apart. It won't be legible, especially if someone's driving by it or swiping past it on their social or out on the road. Being able to go and take those pieces of information and overlay them on each other is really where our study focuses in on and facilitating that. But that goes into the same thing for your engineering tools, the imagery tools. Right now they're still pretty honed in on their specific niches, but we see companies such as Microsoft and others starting to merge those pieces together that allow you to do more with that AI and get further towards having a generalized AI that can help you out with different tasks. And with those tasks and the idea of creating those, we'll get into that a little bit further along. So going through the different elements of that structure, the full architecture that you would need to build out, whether that be for your small business, your startup, your automotive enterprise, your healthcare solution, can still be too costly. It can be too time consuming if you don't have a huge budget. When we talk about some of the areas of study in AI and the startups coming into the space, we're talking about tens, hundreds of millions of dollars of investment. This is not a cheap space, but with those generative off-the-shelf solutions, really lowers that barrier for the manual processes. So there's a lot you can get out of it, but still a lot that you need to understand, and it sort of takes the burden off of the generative creative elements, but then puts it on you on the engineering side. So again, that's where we focus in on. So with Flockx, as a business, we are really here to help you get your message out to all of these different forums, tailor it to your brand, tailoring it to your messaging, and allowing you to share your socials, your website, and then generating those creative elements from that information that you share with us. Plug in some of your other data systems, such as point of sale or your analytics platforms, utilizing that to continuously improve on the prompts, and then allowing that automation of the creation of the assets so that you don't need to worry about all of the underlying complexities. You just get the benefit of the generative AI. And so what's the impact? Like I had mentioned, going out to all these different displays, getting your message in front of the right people at the right time, and actually driving real foot traffic to your location. We really focus on the local community, the local vendors, the people that are participating in Art Prize. I think we have 143, 147 of them, quite a few throughout Grand Rapids, but helping them to compete at that same level as a mega enterprise without the overhead. So taking that cost from thousands to tens of thousands of dollars to get a billboard up and the lead time of 2 to 4 weeks, being able to take generative AI and utilize that to bring that timing down to 24 to 48 hours. Mainly the cost there is still just based on the infrastructure, so able to generate the creatives within minutes. And then for the actual cost, instead of having to have a design studio come in and spend a couple weeks aligning them on voice and brand and what the messaging is and what the activity is that you're trying to propose, you're able to automate that and bring that cost from thousands to hundreds of dollars. And for artists, we also have special packages that are tens of dollars to get started with these generative AI solutions to help you make an impact on your local community. So what's next? One thing that we love to focus on, and H can talk to more later on, is around the generative task AI. So once you have the ability to go and generate imagery, you're able to generate text, you're able to generate other engineering output, that still takes you going in and prompting the AI to go do that. What we want to get to is the AI actually understands what you're trying to do, generates the tasks creatively of what needs to be done, goes and spawns that off to other AI to actually execute those tasks, takes the feedback, puts it together, and gives you the output. And that output may be just more foot traffic in the door without you needing to do anything. So this is in the agent area of what we've been focusing on the Fetch AI side. Again, happy to get into that after the conversation, but a very interesting field that continues to grow. And with that generative task AI, then come the autonomous agents. So you actually having a personalized digital twin of yourself online that can go and facilitate these tasks for you. It can go and hook up to your business. It can help you be a team member that actually starts to automate different things routinely without you having to prompt it, without you having to put anything in. Just keep checking up on it. So with the personalized autonomous agents, again, another area within the advanced R&D within Fetch AI that we've actually been bringing to market in Europe, UK, a little bit here in the US, but continue to refine. Happy to talk on those elements later on. And just to diversify a little bit, I know I talked a lot on the marketing and the small businesses, but since we're here in Grand Rapids with the medical mile and everything going on in biotech, wanted to make sure to reference some of the great things that AI is allowing us to do in the medical field. So whether that be on creation and engineering from the tools that go into the medical field, or the actual analysis of DNA, RNA strands, and modifying genome inside the body, whether that be animals, humans, without taking anything out, without needing to go and change anything other than your actual genome strains. This has been highly challenging. Again, each of those different issues that I was talking about around the data, limited amounts of it, the sharing of it for the healthcare providers, the complexity of your personal genome, and trying to understand, based on someone else's footprint, what you look like, can be very hard, and it actually utilizes some of the hallucinations that plague other areas of AI and generative AI to fill some of those gaps. We also are working in the realm of quantum mechanics at this point on when doing these calculations takes a huge amount of infrastructure and time and space. So facilitating the full stack of the AI that can be deployed out, help out these healthcare providers, keep the data private, keep it enclosed, but then still deliver the results that we're looking for that help us to start solving different healthcare issues that come in today, as well as personalizing different therapies to individuals, which then allows us to improve quality of life, live longer, and eventually get to those overarching goals. So would love if you continue to join us to make AI more accessible. We continue to try and lower that barrier of entry to AI for small businesses, local artists, and anyone that is driving the culture of a small city. And to do that, we have user groups ongoing. Josh is here, Haley's here. JJ, unfortunately, wasn't able to make it today, but also online. If you go on to flockx.io, he will be there chatting with you, and the others will be here if you'd like to participate. As well as we have a launch party this evening. Everyone is invited. If you want to come over to Social House, we'd love to have you chat more on AI and some of the different elements going on. It'll be at 6:30 over at Social House, so love to see you there and chat more if we don't get a chance to chat after the talk. Couple citations and additional reading if you want to dig into more detail on the algorithms and some of the complexities, both from the data analysis side to the actual machine learning, the generative elements, and future studies. So also, if you want additional reading, hit me up on LinkedIn. Happy to chat there and connect. And with that, thanks for listening. Really appreciate y'all. Thanks so much. If you have any questions, let me know.
So we have about 10 minutes.
Perfect.
Q&A, so I will let you run that.
Yeah. Anyone have any questions that I can help answer? Go for it.
Might be a good segue into Greg's talk next, but to what extent have you been looking at or thinking about security considerations? We referenced a little bit of the privacy side of things with machine work.
Yep. Yeah, so very fascinating question, and I think it'll be a good segue into the security side. But the areas that we've actually seen the biggest issue for the security side has been on utilizing the generative AI to actually create phishing attacks. That now I can customize my phishing attacks to different target audiences, really refine that, and generate them at a higher output that allows me to continuously hit people and try and figure out how do I penetrate their weaknesses to get them to sign up to something, to click on something, or do an action that they weren't planning on taking that allows me to maliciously go and take their passwords, their information, their banking information, or others. We haven't delved too deeply, and I think this is where the next talk will get into, of utilizing that AI to facilitate keeping up with the different attacks going on and some of the different elements that have been created from AI, and also the quantum mechanics sides of encryption and facilitating better algorithms on that front. So again, there's a lot of pieces in that, and happy to dig in more after, but we've stayed predominantly more on the generative piece, the data privacy element of maintaining security on that. We've pretty much used the same tried and true methodologies from the data sort of segmentation, your different firewalls, protection, limited access, and some of the other, but less on the AI side.
And not meant as a criticism,
Yeah.
would it be fair to say that most people are attracted by the novelty and finding ways to apply the AI, so there hasn't thorough consideration of the security consequences, not just AI as a tool for other malicious activities, like we were saying, phishing attacks, but the fundamental core security of AI itself.
Yeah, I would say that it's an ongoing conversation that I agree hasn't been matured enough at this point. It's all come so quickly for a large body of people that really hit the scene when ChatGPT came on and sort of became a common novelty that people started jumping into. I know we just had the closed door discussion with US government along with a lot of the industry leaders trying to start that conversation. Whether that actually moves the needle on anything. But I know we have a lot of different smaller companies as well as mid-sized companies that have really focused in on it and are trying to help guide that conversation. But I agree with you. We haven't put enough thought and time into that at this point, and we need to continue to discuss the topic. Appreciate it. Any others?
I had a follow-up.
Yeah, please.
So are you referring more to like the privacy guardrails that would allow for like, say, corporate use of like generative AI? Is that where you're going, or? It's a complex issue, really. I mean, if you think about, you talk about deception, how AI can lie to users. Well, to what extent can that be the basis of an attack against a corporation competitor? And that just one could imagine any number of consequences to us, depending upon a technology that is itself contains vulnerabilities that we haven't necessarily addressed. I mean, security, you're never done.
Yeah.
So, again, it's not a criticism. It's just something that the word maturity is a great word. I think we as a community could help ourselves by identifying this early and thinking about it and perhaps starting to work on it early also.
But what's key is that you don't know how you're going to use it at the moment. It's quite open how you're going to use it. I mean, I was initially part of OpenAI when it was actually open, and that's one of your security risks. Suddenly, an open organization becomes very non-open. So again, that's part of this conversation that we're saying. The issue you have is till you have some clarity on what applications and how, then you will not be able to just take the whole space and pinpoint where the security risks are. But the point is valid. We should be looking at it now. That's definitely the case. I mean, one of the biggest problems is the training of the data. Who's training it? Because you could be training with fake data, and that's a security risk. So who controls it? That's another question. I mean, the Senate conversations are happening right now. Everybody is participating in it. Do we give it to just the big corporates? Because that has its own risk. That might be, and we've seen that in Facebook case, political manipulation. We have seen that. So I guess the question is right, but I don't think we're going to see a solution very soon.
If anybody can offer a solution to security generally, I'd love to.
Yeah.
This is a Tech Friends talk, and I just
Yeah.
wanted to
No, it's a great question.
thinking about it.
Yeah. No, and I have great conversation as well, so thank you for kicking that off, and fantastic. Yeah, go for it.
I mean, one of the things that's interesting, I think, with some of the stuff you're talking about, billboards and all the advanced AI tech, and the fact that we're all here physically at Tech Week. At what point does this drive increased physical connection and increased analog experiences versus moving into the overall, like, fear-based? And I get it. I mean,
Yeah.
like, we now have lasers that can shoot planes out of the sky. Like, that's a thing. National Defense reported on it, I think, 2 days ago. So at what point do we look at and say, well, actually, the benefit of this is maybe more analog engagement? I mean, that's what you're trying to drive with Flockx. So at what level does AI drive physical connection faster or more experiential? Because even this, like, I've always laughed that Tech Week is in person. If the great example is that we're supposed to be able to do everything virtually, but nobody really wants that.
No, agreed. And that's a great question as well. I mean, from us, tomorrow is our goal to get that experience and get people out and utilizing AI to drive more connection. But I think on the more general point is will be sort of an emerging trend that we'll see AI helping us to solve these things that take up our time, take up our attention, and help us to have more analog connectivity, have more experiences, and get more out of life in the real world. Amazing. All right, you got it. Thanks, y'all. Really appreciate it.